Okay guys, we all know that I love banging on about this car, and I have talked about it till I'm blue in the face, especially about the motor and box. In this video, I'm going to talk about everything else that I've had to fix, not including the motor and box. So I'm even going to try and resist the urge to pop the bonnet. We're not even going to go in there. What we're going to do is talk about everything else that I've had to fix, which actually is quite a lot of things. Okay, so just a super quick rundown on this car. It used to be a manual V6. I bought it years and years ago for P-Plater, and it had a spool. You can sort of imagine what it was used for, but I really saw potential in this car, and I loved it from day one. For now, we're just going to focus on the body. Our first thing that I replaced was this antenna. The old one, like many VNs, was snapped right here. After I'd put the new engine in, I put this bonnet on and I had adjusted it wrong. I opened it and cracked the windscreen, so I did have to replace the windscreen and the antenna. Now, when I bought this car, it had shiny black bumpers, and that was sort of the thing at the time. And it wasn't just the bumpers, it was all the trims around the doors and stuff, and at the time I really liked them, but as the value of these went up a bit and they started to become a bit more collectible, I decided to steer away from that and go for the original bumpers look. I did manage to score a set of headlight protectors. I ended up selling those shiny bumpers front and back, and I ended up buying a pair for $100 from the wreckers. Now, of course, they did not look like this. They were faded, but they were actually quite straight. I was very happy with the rear bumper as well, because it's a three-piece, which is actually a little bit harder to find. The grille is also a GM one. Originally, the bumpers are unpainted plastic. However, I wanted these to last. These are painted a color which looks like the factory bumpers. This badge is from Rare Spares. That is everything on the front end though. So when I bought this car, one of the things that let it down is it actually had a hole right in the door there. I should have a photo of it. What someone had tried to do is steal it. So what they've done is drill a hole in the door under the lock. A week after I bought this car, the local council actually dropped a bin on the guard here and it dented it and ruined it. So I had to have the whole driver's side of the car painted, guards, everything done. And of course the council didn't pay for that, of course. That's okay, it is what it is, it's looking fresh now. So the whole side of this car was painted, all done properly. Another thing that I've replaced around the car is the locks, the ignition, the door locks, all of them. Okay, we're at the boot now. I have replaced all of the badges with Rare Spares ones and all new ones, because I reckon badges look fantastic on cars if they're nice and fresh. I did get the garnish repainted by the same bloke that's done the bumpers and the window molds, and he did a really good job of that. The tail lights are still the aftermarket ones that were on it when I bought it, but they work fine. While we're around this side of the car, let's have a look in the boot. Okay, this is the boot of the VN, and I was very lucky that when I bought this car, it actually had a really good boot. It's actually really quite clean, everything's complete, all the carpet's good. As any VN owner has, I have had to play around with the tail light looms 1,000 times to get all of the globes and everything working, but as of right now, everything is working perfectly, except the reverse lights. The only other thing that I've done in here is paint everything black. I've just done that to prevent any rust. However, there is no rust in here. I'm not going to take the wheel out because I can show you from under the car, but there is very little rust, almost none. You guys know that it does collect there, but in here we're looking pretty good. Okay, I did lie to you a little bit. I thought that I wouldn't need to go in here, but there are actually a few things in here that aren't related to the engine that I did replace. Number one is this wiper cowl. I actually pulled this off a wreck. It's been sitting in the paddock for years, and I'm not kidding. I think it took me about 2 hours to pull this off without breaking it, and somehow I managed to do it. It's very tricky to pull off. They are extremely brittle, and this one is in really good nick, and they're very hard to pull off without breaking. I also put this under bonnet stuff on. This is actually from a VN, and I think it looks really good. I also got these little bits and this plastic radio thing all off the same car. I know it's something small, but it's just all these little things add up and they just really make it the complete package. These window molds were originally gloss black to match the whole gloss black theme that it used to be, but I didn't really like that, and it really didn't suit it once the bars got changed. The same bloke that painted my bars also did these. These aren't actually really a colour, I believe they're just unpainted plastic. He actually mixed the colour up that is very close to the original colour, and I am very happy with them. They look great. Another thing that I've added is these executive door molds. These are actually so common that they're hard to find because most people didn't even bother taking them off. So it was actually a mission to find a set, and I reckon they really suit the car. This sill was originally painted that same gloss black and it just didn't look right, so I painted it the original colour and put these on. I just think it looks much better than it did. Now, I have actually done quite a few things in here. When I bought it, it had a wood grain steering wheel, but it did have this original steering wheel in the boot. I bought this horn pad as a brand new old stock item from Holden, I believe it was, for only $25, which is unbelievable now. Obviously this is when these cars were still very cheap. I've replaced the speaker grills, I've put a dash mat on here, I've pulled this off and fixed it because it comes loose sometimes. I did replace the ashtray because my original one had a chip in it. I did pull out a working head unit and put in a non-working VN one that I got from the wreckers, but this one looks a million times better. It suits the car way more, even though it doesn't work. The headlining has always been black. I haven't really touched that, although the card itself has dropped, so I would like to get that fixed. I have replaced the clutch pedal rubbers. The one thing that does need immediate attention is this door rubber. It's just not very good, although I do have the original one from the car just over there. One cool thing about this car is because it's actually not an original executive, it's originally an S-Pack, it has the same interior as a Van SS, so that's really cool. So I'll definitely be keeping that. I did pull the S-Pack badge off and add an executive one on the dash. The next thing is one of the most expensive things I've actually done to the car. I replaced these 3/4 plastic windows. Now, if you know VNs, if you know these cars, you know why they're so expensive. It's because it's pretty much impossible to get them out without breaking the car. And I think I paid $500 just for these rear plastics, but it is worth it. They look fantastic. Okay, you guys join me under the car now. A lot of stuff under here has actually changed. This diff is not from this car. I actually bought this car with a spool and I absolutely hated driving with the spool, so that came out pretty much immediately. Just recently I've done the upper control arms back here. I have replaced quite a lot of the fuel hose. Not too long ago I did actually replace the shocks and all the bushes that come along with them. When I did that I also did all the sway bar bushes, but one thing that it does need is these lower control arm bushes. They really need doing. It still has the same exhaust on it from when I bought it with a V6. I've got no reason to change that at all because it sounds fantastic. When I actually bought this, it had Hyundai springs in the rear, and that was one of the very first things I changed. It just looked terrible. So at the moment, it's got double SL King springs in it. And one thing I do need to fix up here is connect the handbrake. That's the handbrake cable, and it's just hanging. That's something that really needs to get fixed, but just haven't had time. It's only been 4 years. The only other thing worth talking about is the tail shaft. About a year ago, it actually let go, and I got both the unis and the center bearing redone. Another thing that I did do, which I forgot to mention, is I did do the seal on the rear of the gearbox. That was actually really quite easy. Okay, I will be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to add this in the video, but I was just trying to get some footage of the tail shaft, and I noticed I was missing a bolt in my tail shaft, and all the bolts are not even finger tight, and I'm actually missing one. So after I film this video, I'm going to go to the shop and get 6 more of these and fix that. That's just about everything that I've replaced on this car. I'm sure that I've forgotten something and I'll probably make another video about it. But there is still plenty of stuff to fix on this car. I want to fix the door rubber. I want to fix some of the panel gaps. I want to get the radio working again. I want to get the speedo working again. Fix up the steering wheel. Replace all my tail shaft bolts. The reality is the list never ends, really does it. It just keeps going and going and going. However, for the most part, I'm pretty happy with this car. I'm sort of not done with it, but there's not going to be any major changes anymore. I'm really happy with how it is. I'll just be maintaining it and doing small things. Hopefully you guys like these kind of videos. If this is something that you're into, please like, subscribe, all that stuff, and follow along with what I do here. Thanks for watching.